This is a story of Elizabeth, a 6-year-old girl, and though she cannot see the world like you do, but she can feel it deeply, beautifully, and in the way only God can make possible. Elizabeth's story is one of loss and God's amazing grace. It's a story that proves that even when you walk through the darkest valley, as Psalm 23 verse 2 to 4 says, I will fear no evil, for you are with me, your rod and your staff, they comfort me. Elizabeth was born blind in a small village in Africa to a parents who loved her deeply. Her mother's touch was soft and warm, and her father's voice was strong and reassuring. But she never saw their faces because Elizabeth was born blind. Her mother used to tell her that God had a special plan for her, even though she couldn't see the sunlight by the day and stars by the night. Elizabeth's mother would sing her some songs about Jesus, about how he heals, provides, and loves unconditionally. But when Elizabeth was just a baby, something happened. Her parents were gone. Elizabeth survived, but lost everything: her parents, her home, and any chances of seeing the faces of the people who loved her unconditionally. It was a time of great darkness, both physically and emotionally, for her, but even then, God's hand was on her life. Psalm 68 verse 2 to 5 says, As a father to the fatherless, a defender of widows, is God in his holy dwelling. Elizabeth didn't know the Bible verse yet, but God was about to become a father in ways she could not imagine. After the fire incident that claimed the lives of Elizabeth's parents, Elizabeth was taken to an orphanage home. It was a humble place for her to be, but the people there were kind and welcoming. They told Elizabeth stories about Jesus and his love for children like her. So Elizabeth began to feel a spark of hope, love, and a light that shone even though she couldn't see it with her eyes. One day, there was this woman called Mama Mercy. She visited the orphanage home. She was an evangelist, traveling from one community to another, from one village to another, spreading the good news of Jesus Christ. One day, she notices Elizabeth and spoke to her. It was as if her words reached deep in Elizabeth's heart. She said to Elizabeth, The Spirit of the Lord is upon you, because he has anointed you to proclaim good news to the poor, and he has sent you to proclaim freedom for the prisoners and the recovery of sight for the blind, as she quotes Luke chapter 4 verse 18 to Elizabeth. Elizabeth felt Mama Mercy was speaking to her directly due to her sight conditions. Mama Mercy took a special interest in Elizabeth. She nurtured and taught Elizabeth how to pray, how to listen to God's voice, and how to trust him with her whole heart. Mama Mercy told Elizabeth that her blindness was not a curse to her, but a gift to humanity that God could use to show his glory, for we live by faith and not by sight, as she quotes Elizabeth, 2 Corinthians chapter 5 verse 7. It was during one of these lessons that Elizabeth decided to give her life to Jesus Christ, and she was only about 4 years old. But Elizabeth knew in her heart that she wanted to serve God. From that day on, Elizabeth's life began to change. At the orphanage home, she was given a dog called Smart. Smart was no ordinary dog. Smart was a gift from God. Smart became Elizabeth's eyes, guiding her wherever she needed to go. But Smart as a dog was more than a dog but a helper. Smart was a friend, a companion, and a reminder that she was never alone. Whenever Elizabeth held Smart by the leash, Elizabeth would feel like she was holding God's hand. When Elizabeth turned 6 years old, she felt a strong calling in her heart to wanted to tell people about Jesus, just like Mama Mercy did. She wanted to share the love that had saved her, the love that had given her hope when she had none. So with Smart by her side, Elizabeth started going from village to villages, sharing her story and a new faith in God through Jesus Christ. Let me tell you about Jesus Christ, she would say to people who gathered to listen. Elizabeth would tell them how God, through Jesus Christ, had been her comfort in the darkest times, and how he had given her a family in the orphanage home, and how he had given her a purpose even though she was born blind physically but not spiritually. Elizabeth would quote Romans chapter 8 verse 28, and we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love him and who have been called according to his plans and purpose. She would tell them that even though she couldn't see, she could feel God's love in every step she took in the past, in every breeze that touched her face, and in every whack of Smart steel. One day, Elizabeth visited a village where people were struggling with drought and hunger. Elizabeth stood before them, holding her dog Smart by the leash tightly, and she said, God sees your pain, he sees your tears, and he loves you. Elizabeth shared a story of Hagar in the Bible, who called God Elroy, the God who sees, because he saw her in her distress. And she would quote Genesis 16 verse 13 as she spoke to the people before her. Elizabeth could hear people crying, and she told them that Jesus Christ said in Matthew 11:28, come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. By the end of that day, many people had come forward to give their lives to Jesus Christ, while Smart and Elizabeth continues their journey visiting schools, markets, and churches. Each time, Elizabeth shared how God had been her strength and told them about the fire incidents that took the lives of her parents, and about how Jesus Christ had become her everything, and telling them that even though she couldn't see the world, she could see God's love shining brightly in her heart. One of her favorite Bible verses is Psalm chapter 27 verse 10. Even though my father and mother forsake me, the Lord will receive me. Elizabeth continued to tell people that this verse had become her life's testimony, and now as she stands before them, she wants to leave them with this message. No matter what you are going through, no matter how dark your situation may seem, God is with you. He loves you and has a purpose for your life. And if He can use a little blind girl like her to share His word, He can use them too. And all they have to do is to trust Him. Proverbs 3 verse 5 to 6 says, trust in the Lord with all your heart, and lean not on your own understanding, and in all your ways submit to Him, and He will make your paths straight. Elizabeth thanked the people for listening to her story. As Smart and Elizabeth continue to go wherever God leads them, sharing His love and His word, because even though she cannot see, she knows that God is guiding every steps she takes. May God bless you all. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe to support this channel. Thank you.